One line buried in your purchase contract can be the difference between buying the right home here in Colombia and walking away from thousands of dollars in earnest money. Today, we're talking about contingencies, the small clauses in a South Carolina real estate contract that quietly protect you as a buyer. And sometimes they protect the seller too. Most people sign right past them and never realize how much power they hold. That's exactly what I want to fix for you today. I'm Alena Miano with EXP Realty here in Columbia, South Carolina, and I help buyers all over Midlands navigate exactly this part of the process. Whether you're buying your first home or your fifth, understanding these contingencies can save you time, save you money, and save you a whole lot of stress. So stick with me because by the end of this video, you're going to understand home buying contingencies like a pro. Let's start with basics. What actually is a contingency? A contingency is essentially an escape clause in your contract. Think of it as an if this, then that scenario. If a certain condition is met, then you keep moving forward. If it isn't, you have the right to renegotiate or walk away without losing your deposit. For example, one of the most common ones is the appraisal contingency. If the home appraised at the price you agreed to, great. You've cleared that hurdle and you keep moving towards closing. But if it comes in low, that contingency gives you room to renegotiate, or in some cases, back out entirely, as long as you have it in place or in the contract. So, why do these contingencies exist at all? They're there to protect you from being forced into purchase when something important doesn't take out. And in some cases, they protect the seller too. Picture a seller who needs to find their next home before they'll let go of the one they're in. A contingency can give them the room to do that so they don't end up without a place to live. But for most of this video, I want to focus on you, the buyer, because these clauses are your safety net and your earnest money safety net. Now, here's the part that matters most, and it works a little differently here in South Carolina than in some other states. Our contracts run on the idea that the time is of the essence. That means deadlines are real and they're firm. When you go under contract, you agree to a due diligence and inspection period, a set window of time to do your homework on the home. In our market, that window is negotiated and is often somewhere in the range of 7 to 14 days, though it can be shorter or longer depending on the deal. During that time, your job is to inspect, appraise, review, and decide whether it's truly the home for you, the one. Miss one of those deadlines, and you can quietly lose the very protection you were counting on and your earnest money. And here's why that protection is so valuable. It guards your earnest money. When you make an offer here in Colombia, you typically put down an earnest money deposit to show the seller you're serious. In South Carolina, that's often around 1% of the purchase price, though on lower price homes, it might be a flat amount, like $1,000. I've even seen like $500. And in a competitive situation, a seller might ask for more. So on a $300,000 home, you might be putting roughly $3,000 on your own money into escrow. That money isn't extra. It goes towards your down payment or your closing costs, but it comes out of your pocket upfront and it sits in escrow with your closing attorney. Your contingencies are what protect that money. As long as your contingencies are in place and you follow the contract, your earnest money stay protected. The moment you release your contingencies, that's when your deposit is truly on the line. That's why over the last few years, I've watched buyers get into real trouble. In hot markets, a lot of people started waiving contingencies to make their offers look stronger. I'll skip the inspection, I'll skip the appraisal, I'll waive everything. I just want the house. And I understand the instinct when you're competing against four or five other offers. But when you waive all of your contingencies, your earnest money is exposed from day one. If anything goes sideways, the deposit can become the seller's money. So before you ever waive a contingency, you need to understand exactly what you are giving up. Let me walk you through the ones that matter most. The first is the appraisal contingency. This protects you from overpaying for a home that doesn't support the price, which with a good agent, you're already not supposed to. But say you agreed to buy 300,000, but the appraisal comes back at 275. If you have this contingency, you can renegotiate with the seller or walk away because the value simply isn't there. Now, here's something people misunderstand all the time. You can waive your appraisal contingency, but your lender will still order an appraisal. Waiving the contingency doesn't mean skipping the appraisal. It just means you're telling the seller you buy the home regardless of where the value lands, and you cover any gap out of pocket. The lender still wants to know the home is worth what they're financing. And I'll be honest with you, some agents will tell a buyer to waive the appraisal contingency to look strong and then quietly plan to use a different contingency to back out if the value comes in low. That's unethical. It can put your deposit at risk, and it's not how I do business. If you waive something, waive it knowingly. The second big one is the inspection contingency. This is your window to really get to know the home. And in our market, it's not just a general home inspection. This is when you also order things like CL100 wood infestation report. It checks the termite and moisture damage. I gotta tell you the things I've seen. That one matters a lot here in South Carolina, and sometimes with your loan lender required it as well. It might also do a sewer scope, mold inspection, whatever the property calls for. When the inspection comes back, you usually get a long list of items. Some are serious health and safety issues. Most, in my experience, are minor. This contingency gives you options. You can ask the seller to make repairs, ask for a repair credit, renegotiate the price, or if it's truly too much, walk away. Now, even if you waive the contingency, you can still get an inspection, and you absolutely should on every house. You just can't use it as your reason to exit the contract. And again, don't waive it and then try to sneak out through another clause. Sellers see that and it can cost you your deposit. The third one that makes or breaks deals is the financing or loan contingency. This protects you if your mortgage falls through. You might be thinking, but I already got pre approved. Why do I need this? Here's the thing, a pre approval is based on the documents you submitted early on, but the loan still has to go to an underwriter who verifies everything against the home and your full financial picture. If something changes, your income recalculated, your credit shifts, or an issue surfaces, the loan can be denied even after a pre-approval. As long as your financing contingency is in place, you're protected. One important note, once your loan is formally approved, that contingency is generally considered met, even there's still a few conditions to satisfy before closing. A lot of buyers think that they can hold that contingency until the very last document is signed, and that's usually not how it works. So talk to your lender and your agent about exactly when the clock runs out. Those three, appraisal, inspection, and financing, are where most deals fall apart. But there are a few more you should know. If you're buying in a neighborhood with an HOA, and a lot of Colombia condos, townhomes, and planned communities have one, you get to review the HOA documents, the budget, the reserves, the rules, the restrictions. Most of the time, it's fine, but occasionally you'll find a pest restriction, an architectural rule, or a budget that gives you a pause. And this contingency lets you step back. You'll also review the seller's disclosures, where the seller shares what they know about the property and the title to make sure there are no liens, easements, or ownership issues attached to the home. And finally, there's the home sale contingency. If you need to sell your current home before you can buy the next one, this ties the two together so you're not stuck owning two homes or none at all. Just know that sellers often add what's called a kick out clause, which gives them the right to keep marketing the home and give you a short window, usually 24 to 48 hours, to move forward if another buyer steps up. So here's what I want you to take away from all of this. Waiting a contingency isn't automatically a mistake. I have buyers do it all the time when it makes sense. The danger is waiving all of them or waiving one without understanding what you are giving up. If you're thinking about waiving your appraisal contingency, have your agent pull comparable sales so you know where the value should land. Your agent should be trained on pricing the house properly. If we're thinking about waiving your financing contingency, make sure you truly trust your lender. I work closely with Rose Wiley with Ascend Lending, and lender trust, and I trust her completely. And when she tells me a buyer is solid, I believe her. That kind of relationship is what lets you make a strong, smart offer instead of reckless one. And remember, your earnest money is never actually at risk just because a deadline is approaching or a seller is pushing you. In South Carolina, your deposit only becomes exposed when you're signed off releasing your contingencies. If you hit a deadline and you're still waiting on something, an appraisal, a document, a repair answer, the honest move is to talk to the other agent early. In my experience, when you communicate clearly and in good faith, the other side will usually work with you. And if the seller is the one causing the delay, you're not obligated to release until they've held up their end of the contract. At the end of the day, the whole point of contingencies is to protect you and your money while you make one of the biggest decisions of your life. So ask questions, understand every clause before you sign it. And if your agent can't explain this to you in plain English, that's a sign you may need a different agent. If you're planning to buy here in Columbia, South Carolina, or surrounding areas, and you want someone who will walk you through every one of this the right way, I would love to help. Reach out to me, Alena Miano with the XP Realty. You can text or call me or head to homesofcolumbia.info to get started. And if you found this helpful, do me a favor and hit that like button and subscribe because I'm sharing everything you need to buy and sell smart right here in the Midlands.